Welcome to the Live to 110 podcast. My name is Wendy Myers, and you can find this video podcast on my website, live to110.com, and on my YouTube channel, Wendy Live to 110. Go there and subscribe. And today we have on Patrick Durkin of the wellnessenterprise.com, and we're going to be talking about structured water. He was so kind to send me a structured water device like this. I love it. And it's basically something where you pour water into, and I take my spring water and pour it into through this device several times, and it energizes the water, and it gives it a structure that gives us lots of health benefits in our body. So we're going to be talking all about it, what structured water is, and how you can incorporate it into your life and your health regimen. But before we get started, please keep in mind that this program is not intended to diagnose or treat any disease or health condition and is not a substitute for professional medical advice. The Live to 110 podcast is solely informational in nature, so please consult your healthcare practitioner before engaging in any treatment that we suggest today on the show. So Patrick is a master of change and flow. In a world where change is only constant, new trends are starting all the time. And when a movement is emerging and gathering steam, his role is to notice it and tell others about it. And as a financial advisor, he used his skills to make extraordinary profits in a very short time, becoming a millionaire by age 31. However, it was unfulfilling, and he craved deeper meaning and wanted to help others. And this drove Patrick to leave the financial industry and put his skills to use in helping humanity solve problems. In 2008, he began an odyssey to understand water and offer a compelling alternative to plastic water bottles, stymieing the massive waste they produce while creating better hydration solutions. Through this journey, Patrick founded the Wellness Enterprise to teach others about the properties of water that matter most with health, hydration, and spiritual fulfillment. And his comprehensive knowledge of all things drinking water related led people to refer to him as the water guru. Sorry, a little tongue twister there. So Patrick, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Oh, Wendy, I'm thrilled to be with you and to have the opportunity to talk about how this can help people live to 110 and to hear about your experience with drinking sacred structured water. It's great to be with you today.
Yeah, you know what? I love the structured water. I had to say I didn't really know a whole lot about it before I met you, and I was on your website, looking around and learning. And I really I feel an energetic difference in the water. Completely, honestly, there's something to it. There's something different about it, and I feel better drinking the water. When I took my first sip of water, there was a noticeable difference in the quality of the water, and I was really, really pleasantly surprised, because I really feel that water is the foundation of health. People have to drink clean, pure water if they ever have the hopes of being healthy. Because my clients that drink just plain old filtered tap water, poorly filtered water, that their health doesn't improve as much as drinking clean water. So it's incredibly important. So why don't you tell us a little bit about how you got into structured water and a little bit about yourself?
Well, sure, I'd be happy to. So, you already spoke in my bio of some early success I had in my career, but the truth is, while I was making all that money and buying a big house and driving a fancy car, that my health fell apart. And it was a guide. I had a irritable bowel syndrome, and a doctor will tell you that you just take a pill for that every day for the rest of your life and you'll be fine. And that wasn't satisfying for me. I wasn't okay with that advice. So I wanted to find out how I was living that was incongruent with my body and discover what it is that would have me be balanced and healthy. And I have proven for anybody out there with irritable bowel that you can 100% get rid of it, because I have done that. And I encourage you to find your own way to health and know your own truth through that. So as I was experiencing making lots of money and ill health, I started to follow my passion and curiosity for things water related. And eventually it came to the point where my mom was one of my customers as a financial advisor, and she said, Hey, Patrick, what's going on with this plastic bottle project you've got going in your community? You seem so much more passionate about that than you do managing my money.
Yeah.
And that's when I knew my days were numbered. 4 months later, I was out of the financial industry and had chosen to just learn everything that I could about water. And in fact, so much so that I don't even use the word learn anymore because I've learned, because I've remembered so much about our oneness through this journey that I've discovered the scientific proof of our oneness and that everything in the universe is present in every cell. And so knowing this, there's nothing to learn, there's merely things to remember. So I've remembered the power of water, and the more that I research and study and allow and just welcome and invite the information, the more I come to understand and expand my awareness about sacred structured water. Now, again, old habits die hard, so learn still starts to come out of my mouth from time to time, but you'll hear me correct it when it does. So as I looked at different waters, I was focused on the chemistry of water, and I talked to people about filtration technology and removing toxins and alkaline water, and then I found structured water. And when I did, the first thing I did was run away from it for 6 months. And the reason I ran away from it is it's a device that's so different than the current things that are out there. As a starting point, if somebody uses one of these, they buy it once and it lasts forever. And most businesses these days like recurring revenue and passive income, and that's certainly something that I wanted in this new career that I was launching. And how was I going to have passive income if I sold something to people once? And having the luxury of some savings, I was able to go down the rabbit hole and learn more about it. And as I learned more about it, oh, there I am learning again. As I remembered more about it, I came to understand that structured water is completely different than any kind of regular water. So let me be clear as we go forward with the rest of this interview that when we're talking about water in this interview, we're talking about what I refer to as sacred structured water.
Yeah. Yeah. What is it? What is it?
Well, sacred structured water is the voice of the divine carrying the resonance of oneness. It's a living being. And what that means is that all water resonates with the environment around it. And what most people are drinking is something that they pull out of their tap or something that they buy in a plastic bottle. And any of that is resonating with the energy of being pushed through long straight pipes, which is not something that enlivens or invigorates water, or the energy of being in a plastic bottle and being transported and being sold for profit. All of that is in the memory of water. So sacred structured water, and we use the word sacred because the water goes through sacred geometry as it passes through our devices. And when it first encounters the hexagon inside of the device, and then it encounters the resonance of the icosahedron, the dodecahedron, and finally comes out spinning in a double vortex, its vibration has been raised to the resonance of creation energy. So for people who are used to talking about the chemistry of water, this is probably a pretty new concept, and it certainly was for me when I encountered it for the first time. It's really very simple. Sacred structured water is water that's resonant with, carrying the vibration of creation energy.
Yeah. Yeah, I like to think of it as drinking from a stream. I want water that has been bubbling over rocks and it's coming from the earth, and water that kind of mimics what is found more in nature, the energy of the water that's found in nature that has these double vortex helixes that you talk about in them. And there is a huge, huge difference between that and what you're pulling out of the tap that's going through pipes.
Yeah, I've found an analogy recently that works pretty well for assisting people with understanding this. So the way I like to think about it is just compare two experiences. So on the one hand, picture for a second watching the evening news, right? You sit down, you turn on the headlines, you hear about all the atrocities that are happening. And I think, I don't want to go too far in creating the energy of that, but I think people know what I'm talking about. It tends to leave people feeling fearful, feeling scared, feeling like they're not doing enough, feeling like humanity's at war with one another. And then compare that experience with, on the other hand, going for a walk in nature. So, you put your shoes on, you feel the sunshine on your face, you listen to the wind rustling the leaves, you go for your walk, maybe you see some moss on a rock and you touch it, and you notice as you're on a walk like that, what happens with your thoughts, what happens inside your head. Like oftentimes, years ago, I used to go for walks when I was troubled about some issue, rather than just for the pure enjoyment and delight of nature. And I would notice that as I walked, things lightened up and my perspective changed, and I came to understand things more deeply and more easily. So that resonance is the resonance of creation, and the other one is a chaotic resonance. It's a man-made, force-fed, chaotic resonance. So if we look at sacred geometry as the carrying pattern, it's like a vibrational pattern that carries the voice of water. Sacred geometry is very natural, and it's all around us. So we just don't realize it. But if you look at a pine cone, you're looking at sacred geometry. You like in the spin of the bristles. If you look at a seashell on the beach, you're looking at sacred geometry. If you take a photo of a galaxy, you can see the fingerprint, the resonance, the harmonics of sacred geometry. So if we were looking for where's the fingerprint of the creator, where does creation come from and how does it create, it does so with sacred geometry. And so when we are immersing ourselves in that resonance all the time, drinking it, showering it, giving it to our plants, gardening with it, sharing it with our friends and neighbors, we get that good feeling that you're talking about, Wendy, right? We get it just from the water that we're drinking. And so we can bring that kind of divine feeling to ourselves simply through the water that we drink.
Well, what are some of the benefits of structured water that the improvement in how people feel when they are drinking this type of water?
Well, there's so many, and it's going to be unique to each person, but it's going to start with, just as a reminder here, if you're infusing yourself with the energy of creation, you're aligning with who you really are and what you're meant to be. And so when you're doing that, what kind of benefits might you experience? Well, it could start with great health, right? When I shifted from my 31-year-old, gotta make money, competitive, the world is about how much money can I make and how fast, to being connected with nature, eating in a healthy way, drinking and immersing myself in water in a healthy way, it was an enormous shift, and my health completely shifted. A lot of people experience clarity of mind while drinking structured water, and the easiest way to know that you've experienced that is to immerse yourself in it for a while and then think that it's not that important, so you'll go away for a weekend without your device, and that's when you know.
Yeah.
Or you go out of town and you don't take your shower device with you and you shower in water and you watch your skin dry up and turn red, and that's when you know. So those are some other things that people experience. I think emotional stability has been a big one for a lot of people. So when you fill your body with sacred structured water, it takes on a different vibration. And that vibration is not congruent. It doesn't match with lower vibration energies. So things like, anger or jealousy or frustration or that type of emotional experience, they don't resonate easily with people who drink sacred structured water. And the more you drink the water and the more you come to understand that water is a living being and that it's supporting you in your life, the more your perspective opens to being infinite and to connecting to the oneness that is our experience when we allow ourselves awareness of it, then the base level concerns that we have, such as, do I weigh the amount that I want to weigh? How is this health concern or that health concern? It kind of disappears into the background, and what emerges is a brilliant radiance and just an overall sense of well-being, which I think ultimately is what we want.
Yeah, I really identify with you talking about energy and the energy of water, because the more I learn about health and the more I become more spiritual and whatnot, I found that everything is energy. Everything is an energy exchange, and the preservation of positive energy, and all of our cells, even I'm taking anatomy and biology right now, all of our cells run on energy. That's electrons, protons, and neutrons. Everything is energy. So it makes sense to me to put a water in your body that resonates with a positive, healthy energy.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And one of the things that's great about the science of structured water is that there are technologies that have been around for a couple hundred years and look at electrophoton imaging to see the interaction between light and electrons, and that we can measure the amount of that type of energy that's present in any kind of organism. So that can be the water, or it can be your body. And so what we've shown is that, first off, passing water through one of our structuring devices increases the energy by up to 83%. And second, once we put that into our bodies, if you take anybody who drinks their first cup of 12 ounces of sacred structured water, we've seen a minimum increase of 10% in their energy field. So we can literally know for sure that people's energy, the amount of vitality that they have in their body, is increasing. Now, not everybody's sensitive to that, and so some of our customers in their first sip feel a difference. Like you said, you notice something right away, and that's really normal. And I just got off a Skype call about an hour ago with a customer from Israel, and she has one of our portable devices, and she set this appointment so she could buy one of our whole house devices. And she said, Patrick, I cannot talk about what this does with any of my friends, because the only thing I can say to them is I know in my knowing, in my soul, that this is the right thing for us. And we had a hearty laugh about that, because that's, to me, the only thing that matters. If you know in your soul that it's the right thing for you, tell other people that. And if they want to know more, let that be their truth. But just stand in your truth of knowing that it is just what you need. And that is what sacred structured water is.
Yeah. Well, so how did you develop this device, or who, I don't want to say the inventor, who discovered structured water?
Well, the structured water has always been here, right? So the ancients drank structured water. And then we forgot about it for a while. And we got busy with polluting water. And then we've seen an evolution in the last 100 years, starting with Victor Schauberger, who was a naturalist who lived in, I think it was Austria. And he was in the logging industry, and he had logs that were getting jammed as they went downstream when they were going through straight sections. And he recognized that if he got them spinning, that the jam would be relieved. And in fact, 90% of the jam would go away. And so the observations about structured water have been increasing since that time. And now we have an enormous number of scientists all over the world that are working with sacred structured water in different ways, which is great because the more scientists that are involved, the more proof that we see that makes it easier for those of us who have been conditioned to be science-minded to accept this new truth. So Russian scientists in particular are very advanced with regard to water. And at the Russian Academy of Natural Sciences, they did an experiment where they used magnetism that was about as strong as a human thought in the form of light. And they shone that into water, getting water ready for a fish hatch. And then they put the fish in, and they lived there, and then they gave birth. And what happened was the species of fish changed in that birth. And it wasn't a change that was seen in one fish. It was in every fish that was born. They had speckles, they had like spots on them and lines on them, which had never occurred in the species before. And that was the information that they put in to the water. And so when you start seeing stuff like that coming out from leading institutions, it makes it a lot easier to understand the truth of this. So there are quite a few ways to structure water now, and it can get confusing for people if they don't know which type makes the real difference. And that's why I speak of it as sacred structured water, is to remind people of the sacred geometry that must be present to generate the energy of creation. So you can structure water by praying over it. You can structure it with your words. It's going to be influenced by every environment that it's in. But if you want it to resonate with the energy of creation, you have to structure it with the vibratory signature of creation, which is the sacred geometry.
Yeah, so how many types of filters do you have? I mean, I have the portable handheld device right here. What other types do you offer?
Okay, well, that portable one is our most popular. And that's because of a couple things. It's the most versatile, and it's the least expensive, which is a nice combination. So you can have a portable device and use it at home and when you're on the go. And, you know, everybody leaves the house sooner or later, so it's really important to have the portable when you leave home, because once you get used to drinking sacred structured water, you don't want to go back. So in addition to the portable, we have a shower device, a sink device, a whole house device, and then there are garden and commercial devices as well. We don't necessarily feature the garden and commercial as our frontline presentations for people, because most people get to know it through their personal experience, but those are certainly available for anybody that's looking for them. So what we find is that if somebody owns a home or lives in a single family home, then the whole house device and the portable is the appropriate choice for everything for life. Now, one of the most wonderful things about these devices is that you buy them once and they last forever. And as we mentioned before, and they come with a lifetime warranty. And so once you hook up a whole house device, you'll notice that some of the mineral buildup in some of your appliances may release. Some of the calcium buildup on faucets, bathrooms, fixtures, that may release also. And that your entire home, the pipes will all fill with the structured water, and it will create a radiance around your home. So you might notice animals being more attracted to your home. You might notice people being nicer to one another in your home. You might just notice a glowing brilliance to all aspects of life. And this is something that emerges in the months after installing a whole house device. If you travel more, if you live in an apartment or a condo, you're not quite as permanent as somebody who would have a whole house device, then we have the sink and shower devices. They're really easy to install. Even saying the word installation makes it sound like a bigger deal than it is. It's like screwing it on and screwing it off. It's really, really simple. And so people who have apartments and condos tend to get like a sink and shower device combined with the portable, and then that's roughly equivalent to the whole house.
And does this remove chlorine and fluoride and other things like that? Does it work like a typical water filter?
Now, I think the first thing that we should do is separate the word filter so that people really understand. So it's a perfect question. So a filter adds or removes something from water. And as I have shifted to an understanding of life from a oneness perspective and wanting to be away from or not focused on a separation perspective, what I've noticed is that I don't want to remove things from my life anymore, because removal implies that I'm trying to take a part of myself and get rid of it. And that's what traditional filtration is built on, is the concept of removal. So if you want to have traditional filtration, a filter, combined with this, you may, and it's not going to hurt the structuring device. It can come before or after the structuring device. There's no problem with the combination. But it's worth investigating whether having one of these devices is sufficient for you and you'll feel comfortable. What I tell people is live with this for 30 days by itself and see how you feel. And then if you still have a concern, go ahead and buy a filter and spend your money on that if that's a choice that you want to make. But what happens in our devices is the memory of water is what's affected. And let's take a minute and just look at memory for a second, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Because it's been proven that water has memory. And it's commonly believed that we have memory in our brains, but that's in fact never been proven, because we don't have memory in our brains. And the way that was shown was Carl Pribram, the neuroscientist and current professor at Georgetown and professor emeritus at Stanford and Yale, I think are the other two, definitely Stanford. He did experiments. Now, unfortunately, he did animal testing, which is always hard to talk about because I can't help but think about what that means. And the important part here is to share the results, since the tests have already been done. He cut out portions of rats' brains and then showed that they could do activities that were based on their memory. And so he showed that no matter if he took every part of the brain out at different times, the rats still had memory no matter what part was taken out. So our memories are not actually in our brains, they're in the water molecules. And when we drink sacred structured water, we clear away, we open up to a greater access to all of that information. This is why you can go to bed at night thinking about a problem and wake up in the morning and have a solution for it. It's because you put your thinking mind to sleep for the night, and the rest of you can go to work and organize a solution and present it to you when you wake up. I don't know if that's other people's experience, but that happens for me all the time. Like, out of apparently nowhere, I know something that I've never studied before, and I have a solution that came to me simply by focusing on it. Okay, so back to the difference with the toxins and structuring. So when you pour the water through one of our devices, you clear the memory of all those toxins that are in the water. They are not physically removed. If you feel that you need physical removal, then get a traditional filter as a partner with this. But know that the vibratory signature of those toxins, the low vibrating part that would actually have it be harmful to you, that part is cleared. You could say that the energy is alchemically transmuted in the process of structuring the water. So I'm somebody who used to speak in public about people removing toxins from their water, and now I drink from taps all over the country. I don't have a traditional filter in my home, and I don't ask or want for one anywhere that I go. So, you know, each person will find their own way with it, but when you drink the sacred structured water, you are drinking water that is safe for you in a way that traditional water filtration will never make water safe.
Mm-hmm. And can it change the body's pH at all, the structured water?
Well, here's the most interesting thing. I had 2 years of personally drinking alkaline water. And alkaline water is high pH water, so it raises the body's pH. And my body responded, and I experienced improvements from it. It made a difference in my health. But the surprise was that when I stopped drinking that water, and I didn't do anything to keep up raising my pH, but I simply started drinking structured water, which is neutral from a pH perspective, my acidity problems went completely away and haven't returned. So there's more to the acid-alkaline balance equation than we commonly think. And what happens is when we drink sacred structured water and we fill our bodies with this creation energy, there's a divine intelligence to that. That intelligence is monitoring the body. It doesn't need a man-made solution. So the structured water will remove toxins that are very acidic from your body and take them out, and that will by itself work to neutralize more than just alkalize you. So I think the best way to deal with the pH situation is if you can have something that alchemically transmutes that. So it just becomes an issue that you're not monitoring anymore because you're balanced and you're healthy. You don't have the acid reflux or the upset stomach that I'm sure many people are still dealing with. And you know, I certainly knew about 7 or 8 years of that myself.
Yes. And is there anything else you want to add about structured water and tell the listeners?
I could add about things about structured water all day long. You know, what I want to really share with people that they probably won't hear anywhere else is that I think the biggest problem that we have with our health in the world today is misalignment with who we really are. And when we connect to the oneness that is our experience, but undetectable for some of us, when we connect to the infiniteness that is available in life, the things that we're struggling against, they shift. And so if you're dealing with something, a difficulty in your life right now, and you're pursuing it, and you put a lot of attention into correcting some sort of situation, that's kind of fighting against the energy. It's like if we want to do something about war, then rather than having war and peace, which are polarities of one another, if we can have discussions about oneness and discussions about making the connection between ourselves palpable, then war and peace kind of can disappear into the background and be replaced by something different. So the invitation to experience sacred structured water and to interact with it is one to shift everything in your life in a way that might seem unknowable. And it's okay if it seems unknowable, because we have a money-back guarantee and we also have a lifetime warranty. So, and in our offer, we're also paying for your shipping. So try it and experience it, and you'll be delighted. And if you're not, engage with me, because it's my passion that you be delighted. And if you're somehow not, even after we explore it, then no problem. You just return your device, and you can move on to whatever solution's best for you.
And so how can the listeners learn more about structured water, about you, about the devices, etc.?
Well, I think you'll be providing a link, hopefully, and that'll make it easy. And everybody's welcome to go to thewellnessenterprise.com. And everything is there on our page. The connection to everything that we're doing at the Wellness Enterprise is through thewellnessenterprise.com. So one place, and you'll be able to connect with us on social media and in all the different venues that everybody connects these days.
Mm-hmm. Well, Patrick, thank you so much for coming on the show. I really appreciate that. I love that talk about the structured water, sacred structured water. I'm really enjoying my advice, and I'm just really thrilled that I have the opportunity to be able, that I found your website and had you come on the podcast and discovered it for myself, because I felt like it was something that was really missing in my healthcare regime. And so I'm just, I'm very thankful for you to, bringing this information to my audience.
Well, we're thankful that you found us, Wendy, and one of the things that that anybody that comes to us through you will receive if they make a purchase is we have a course called Water Magic 101, and it's 30 days of support to support them to immerse themselves in the water. So we don't just want to tell people about it, but if they're going to make a purchase, then we want to really support them to have that immersion experience. And we're so glad you're having that, and that we've had the opportunity to connect. Thank you, Wendy.
Well, thank you so much, Patrick. And stay tuned. Listeners, if you want to learn all about detoxification and all about natural healing and health and the modern paleo diet, go to my website, live110.com. You can also learn all about my healing and detox program, Mineral Power. And definitely you should check that out. And everyone, thank you so much for listening to the Live to 110 podcast.